The quiet moment no one noticed the lights were dimming on set. Not because filming had ended, but because the sun was slipping behind the distant hills. The crew moved like shadows wrapping cables, adjusting lights, whispering plans for tomorrow. Most actors had already packed up, their laughter fading as they left the set, eager for warm meals and quiet rooms. But Keanu Reeves stayed behind. He wasn't scheduled for the last scene. His job was done hours ago. Something had made him pause at the edge of the lot, near the old trailer Ana de Armas had been using. It was small and plain, different. From the fancy ones the bigger stars used. She'd asked for it, said she didn't need more. She was like that, humble, quiet, kind. But lately, something in her smile had changed. Keanu had noticed it days ago. It's the way she'd go silent between takes. The way her hands trembled slightly when no one was looking. Today, during a complicated emotional scene, she'd gotten every word right. Her face had told the story perfectly. But the moment the director said cut, she turned away fast, like she didn't want anyone to see her expression break. Keanu wasn't sure why he hadn't left with the others. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was the way his own heart had once felt heavy on sets like this, surrounded by noise but carrying a storm inside. Stood by the food truck pretending to sip coffee that had long gone cold. His eyes flicked toward the trailer. Inside, Anna sat on the small couch. The tiny overhead light buzzed softly. Her phone lay face down beside her. Unread messages blinked across the screen. She wasn't crying. Not yet. But she looked like someone who was one word away from breaking. Her fingers traced the edges of a script, the words on it blurred. Not from bad print, but from the weight they carried now. Outside, a knock, soft. She flinched. Anna? Keanu's voice was low, gentle. She didn't answer at first. Maybe she thought about pretending she wasn't there. Maybe she hoped the silence would make him go. But then she whispered, "Come in." Keanu opened the door slowly. His tall frame almost filled the space. He didn't sit, didn't crowd her, just stood with his hands loosely at his sides, eyes kind but steady. "You okay?" he asked. She looked up at him, her lips parted, then closed. For a moment, she didn't speak. Then, in a small voice, she said, "I don't know." Keanu took a breath. Is it the scene? Or something else? Anna let out a sound that was half laugh, half sob. It's everything, the scene. The pressure. The feeling that maybe I'm not enough. Keanu nodded slowly. Not to agree, but to show he heard her, understood her. "You were incredible today." She shook her head. "No, I was trying to hold it together. I didn't feel it. Was just acting." "Sometimes," he said quietly, "that's what makes it real." Anna looked at him, really looked. And something inside her shifted. They sat there for a while, not talking, filling the silence with fake comfort, just being. The hum of the light, the distant sounds of the crew packing up, the soft creak of the trailer's old walls. This was enough. Then Keanu said, "You want to get out of here? Grab food?" Anna hesitated. "I don't want to be around people." "Okay," he said. "Then how about takeout? We eat in the parking lot. No lights, no noise, just food and quiet." A small smile tugged at her lips. "That sounds perfect." They left the trailer together. No one really noticed. Most of the crew had gone. Those who were left didn't pay attention. Just two actors walking into the darkening lot, slipping into the silence between scenes. In Keanu's car, they sat with takeout boxes on their laps. The food was hot and greasy and exactly what they needed. Anna ate slowly, her appetite waking up. Keanu didn't talk much, but his presence filled the space with something solid. Anna finally asked, "Why did you stay?" Looked at her, the night reflected in his eyes. "'Cause you didn't look okay, and I've been there." She didn't say anything for a moment, then softly, "Thank you." "You don't have to thank me," he said. "You just have to promise me something." She looked at him, waiting. "Next time you feel like this, don't hide it. Not from me. Not from the people who care." Anna nodded. Her eyes were glassy, but she didn't cry. Not yet. But deep inside, something started to heal, and neither of them knew that tonight, this quiet, unnoticed moment was going to change everything. It was just the beginning. The news that shook everything the next morning began like any other. But the air on set felt strange. Not heavy, not tense, just ... off. Like something was being whispered behind closed doors. Like a secret was floating above everyone's. Heads just out of reach, Anna noticed it the moment she arrived. People greeted her with polite smiles. But their eyes flickered too quickly. The assistant director avoided looking at her directly. Few of the crew members exchanged hushed words when she walked past. Keanu was already there, sitting in the corner of the makeup trailer, flipping through a dog-eared script. They looked up as she entered and offered a warm smile. "Morning," he said gently. "Something's wrong," Anna whispered, closing the door behind her. Keanu studied her face, then slowly nodded. "Yeah, I felt it too." Before they could say more, the director's assistant knocked and entered quickly, carrying a small envelope. "Keanu and Atha, producer wants to see you, both of you now." Anna's stomach tightened. She glanced at Keanu. He gave her a small nod, and together they walked to the production office. The walk felt longer than it should. Single quotes, VE, inside.
Ow.
The producer, a man known for his sharp suits and sharper decisions, stood near the window. Arms crossed, face unreadable. "Come in, shut the door," he said flatly. They did. He didn't waste time. "We're making changes to the shooting schedule. Budget's tighter than we expected. Studio wants to wrap earlier." Anna blinked. "What kind of changes?" "You'll still be in the film," he said. Eyes locked on her. "But we're cutting down your screen time. We're rewriting a few arcs. Condensing the middle section." Keanu frowned. "Why?" The producer hesitated. "Honestly, because the studio wants to shift the focus, make it more action-heavy. They think the emotional storyline slows things down." Anna's heart dropped. "So, ... my scenes? Some of them will be shortened, others removed entirely. It's not personal, it's just business." Keanu leaned forward. "Her character is the emotional heart of the story. And she still will be," the producer said quickly. "Not as much. Look, we're all under pressure here. We have to make the film work for everyone." Anna didn't speak. She just stared at the carpet, feeling that old familiar ache building in her chest. The same one she thought she had finally escaped, the producer continued. "We'll be sending revised scripts tonight. Just wanted to give you both a heads up." Anna and Keanu left the office without saying much. As soon as they stepped into the hallway, Keanu stopped and turned to her. "You okay?" Anna tried to smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I don't know how to feel. Like I was finally opening up, finally giving everything. And now they want to erase it." "They're wrong," Keanu said firmly. "Your scenes are what make this film matter. But it doesn't change what they're doing. Maybe not, but we still have a choice in how we show up." Anna sighed. "What would you do?" Keanu looked away, then back at her. "I'd fight, not with anger, but with truth." Later that day, Keanu asked to meet with the director privately. Anna didn't know what they discussed, but the meeting lasted nearly an hour. Afterward, the director seemed more thoughtful, quieter. The next morning, filming resumed. Anna was scheduled for a key emotional scene of goodbye between her character and the one played by Keanu. It was one of the scenes rumored to be on the chopping block as the cameras rolled. Anna walked onto set with a steady breath. Keanu was already there, standing by the old bench where the scene would take place. The sky above was gray, soft light falling over everything like a curtain of calm. When the director called action, Anna stepped into the moment fully. She wasn't just acting. She was remembering every fear, every doubt. Every night she cried alone, wondering if she was good enough. Every moment Keanu had stayed behind, reminding her she wasn't invisible. Her voice cracked as she said her lines. Not because she forgot them, but because they were too real, Keanu responded. His voice low and gentle, meeting her with the same truth. It was magic when the director yelled cut. The entire crew stood in stunned silence. No one moved. Then the director stepped forward. "Keep that scene. Don't cut a single frame." Anna looked at Keanu. He smiled. But behind that smile, he knew something she didn't. He hadn't just asked the director to keep the scene. He had offered something else. He had offered his final scene to be shortened to make room for hers. He hadn't told her. Not yet. Because for him, this wasn't about screen time. It was about doing what was right. Anna didn't find out until later that night. Her phone buzzed with a message from the script supervisor. "Keanu gave up his last scene so they wouldn't cut yours. Thought you should know." Anna stared at the message for a long time. She opened her window. The air was cool and quiet, the sky dark, stars barely visible. She texted Keanu, "Why didn't you tell me?" His reply came seconds later. "Because you didn't need more pressure. You just needed space to shine." And in that moment, tears slid down her face. Not from sadness, but from a kind of gratitude too big for words. Keanu hadn't stayed behind just that first night. He was still staying, still protecting her, even when she didn't see it. Something changed after that night's next morning. The set felt the same, busy, buzzing. Voices overlapping and footsteps rushing, but something had shifted in the quiet places no one looked. Anna walked in a little slower, but her shoulders didn't seem as heavy. Her eyes still looked tired, but there was a softness in them that hadn't been there the day before. Keanu noticed it from across the lot. She hadn't seen him yet, but he waited, just to make sure. When their eyes met, Anna gave a small, almost invisible nod. That was all. But for Keanu, it meant everything. She was still here, still showing up. During rehearsal, Anna forgot one of her lines. She froze. The whole room paused. There was a flicker of awkward silence, the kind that could quickly turn into embarrassment. The director was about to cut, but before he could, Keanu, who wasn't even in the scene, gently stepped forward. He didn't say the line. He didn't correct her. Instead, he gave her a look that grounded her, steady, calm, reassuring. Anna breathed out slowly, found her place again, and finished the scene. The room moved on like nothing happened, but she knew what he'd just done for her. Afterward, she walked up to him near the edge of the set. "You didn't have to stay today," she said quietly. Keanu just shrugged. "I wanted to," Anna smiled. "You're really bad at leaving people alone." "Only when they need someone," he replied, eyes warm. That afternoon, a storm rolled in. Not a real one. A storm of emotions on set. A producer snapped at a grip. The sound engineer cursed at a sudden feedback issue. The lead actor had a breakdown over a wardrobe problem. Tension crackled everywhere. Anna could feel it pulling at her nerves like frayed wires. The director wanted a raw, emotional performance from her today. She wasn't sure she could give it. She went to the makeup trailer, hands trembling again. Keanu was waiting nearby. He wasn't supposed to be in the next scene either. Anna stepped outside before makeup could start. Rain was beginning to fall, soft cold drops tapping against the pavement. Keanu followed her out with a quiet presence. "You okay?" he asked again. She shook her head. "I'm trying. I really am. But it's like every time I find my balance, something shifts, and I lose it again." Keanu leaned against the wall beside her. "It's not weakness. It's just being human." Anna looked at him. "Does it ever stop? The pressure? The fear that you're not good enough?" Keanu took a deep breath. "No, but you get better at surviving it. And eventually, you stop needing to prove yourself to everyone else. You just focus on being true to yourself." She stared at the sky. The rain was falling harder now. Her hair started to stick to her face, but she didn't care. Neither did Keanu. They stood in silence for a long moment, letting the storm wash over them. "I don't think anyone ever told me that," she whispered. "It's something I had to learn the hard way," Keanu said. "I figured maybe I could help you skip a few steps." Anna gave him a small smile, the kind that spoke more than words. "I'm glad you stayed." "Me too." Later, as the scene began, Anna stood in the middle of the soundstage, lights beaming. Down, cameras rolling. The moment was intense. her character breaking down after losing someone she loved. The script called for raw emotion, vulnerability, truth. But today, she didn't have to fake it. She reached deep inside herself, to that place where fear lived, the place where doubts whispered late at night. From there, she pulled out something real. Tears fell. Her voice cracked. Her hands trembled. The crew went still. And when the director finally said, "Cut," the room stayed silent for a beat too long. Then softly, the crew started clapping. Anna wiped her face slowly. The applause wasn't loud, wasn't forced. It was real. She glanced to the side. Keanu was watching. He didn't clap. He just smiled. A proud, quiet smile. After the scene, she walked to her trailer alone. It's not because she needed to hide, but because she wanted a moment to herself. She closed the door and sat on the same couch from the night before. Her phone buzzed. A message from Keanu. "You were honest today, and that's the hardest thing to be." Anna stared at the screen, then typed back, "Thank you for staying." Replied almost instantly, "I'm not going anywhere." And in that moment, for the first time in weeks, Anna let herself cry. Not from fear, not from stress, but from relief. Someone saw her, someone stayed, and someone believed in her. But she couldn't believe in herself. What neither of them knew was that a decision was being made behind closed doors. Something about the film, something that would affect both of them. Something neither of them saw coming, but it was already set in motion. Behind the curtain, beyond the Zenith days past. But something in Anna had changed. It wasn't just the roles, the lines, or even the quiet praise from the director. It was deeper. Something inside her had started to settle, where once she second-guessed every look, every word, every breath. Now she began to trust herself. But still, she couldn't stop thinking about what Keanu had done. He gave up his final scene, a moment meant for him. A moment that Madhav closed his arc beautifully, and he had let it go, just to protect hers. Anna hadn't brought it up again. Neither had he. They worked side by side like nothing had shifted. But between the silence, something grew in understanding that didn't need to be spoken. Until one evening, just as the sun was falling behind the trees and the crew was beginning to wrap, Anna found herself walking toward Keanu's trailer. She didn't knock. She hesitated, then stepped back. But before she could walk away, the door opened. He was standing there, holding a cup of tea, like he had somehow sensed her presence. "I was hoping you'd come," he said gently. Anna smiled, soft and nervous. "Can I talk to you?" He stepped aside, letting her in. Inside, his trailer was warm, soft light glowing from a small lamp. A guitar leaned against the wall. Books were stacked in uneven piles. The space smelled like peppermint tea and old wood. Anna sat on the small bench across from him. Her hands curled around the cup he handed her. "Why did you do it?" she asked Keanu. Sat quietly, then said, "Because I've been where you are. Years ago, someone gave me a moment like that. It changed everything. But it was your scene," he nodded, "and it became your moment. That's how stories work. Sometimes the best thing you can do in a story or in life's to step back and let someone else rise." Anna's throat tightened. "You didn't have to," maybe he said. "I wanted to." She was quiet for a long time. "It scares me," she finally admitted. "This world, this job, the way everything can vanish overnight." Keanu leaned forward, "Then let it scare you. But don't let it stop you." Outside, the wind moved softly through the trees. Time seemed to slow. Anna looked at him, really looked. Not just as the actor, the legend, the man everyone admired, but as a person. Someone who had felt pain, faced fear, and still chose kindness. "You don't have to carry me," she whispered. Keanu gave a small smile. "I'm not carrying you. I'm walking beside you." The next morning, Anna arrived early, earlier than anyone else. The crew wasn't even there yet. She stood in the middle of the set, empty and still, the morning light painting gold across the floor. She closed her eyes and breathed. She didn't need makeup or lights or the director's call to action. She just needed to believe. By the time the crew arrived, She was already rehearsing alone, speaking her lines to an empty chair as if it were her scene partner. When Keanu arrived and saw her, he didn't interrupt. He stood at the edge of the room, quietly watching. And when their scene began, something happened. It wasn't perfect.
Oh.
It wasn't polished. It was real. Anna forgot the cameras. She forgot the people watching. It felt like she and Keanu were alone in another world, where the only thing that mattered was the truth between them. The director didn't yell cut this time. He let the moment stretch, let it breathe. When it finally ended, he whispered, "That's the one." Everyone knew it. It was more than acting. It was transformation. That night, Anna sat by herself near the catering truck, a warm drink in her hands. The stars above were clearer than usual. She stared up. Wondering how the past few weeks had changed her so much, Keanu walked up quietly. "You disappeared after the shoot," he said. "Just needed a minute," she replied, "to think." He sat beside her. She looked at him the night. Reflecting in her eyes, "Do you ever feel like you were meant to be broken, just so someone else could heal?" Keanu took a long sip before answering. "I used to think that, but now I believe we all break. And when we help each other, it's not about fixing. It's about reminding each other we still shine through the cracks." Anna looked down at her hands. I want to do that for someone one day, like you did for me." Keanu smiled. "You already are. You just don't know it yet." The wind blew softly. Anna leaned back and closed her eyes. "I'm not afraid anymore?" she whispered. Keanu looked at her. "Good," he said softly, "because the best part of your story hasn't even started yet." The night everything almost fell apart. Final week of filming had arrived. For most people on set, that meant wrapping up, packing trailers, rehearsing goodbyes, and making promises they probably wouldn't keep. But for Anna, it meant something. Else it meant her most important scene was just days away. The studio had agreed after. Keanu's quiet sacrifice, and the director's push to keep Anna's arc at the center. The rewrite gave her a beautiful closing moment. It was emotional, vulnerable, quiet. No explosions, no shouting. It's a single conversation that would leave the audience breathless if she could get it right. But the pressure of that opportunity weighed heavy on her shoulders. Even though she smiled during makeup, even though she joked between takes. Even though Keanu stood beside her like a steady light, and they could feel it building, the fear, the doubt, the feeling that if she failed now, it would erase everything they'd fought for. 2 nights before the scene, she sat. Alone in her trailer, script in her lap, her fingers were clenched tight. Her heart raced. She read the same lines again and again, but the words blurred. She heard a knock at the door. "Ina." It was Keanu. She hesitated, then said, "Come in," stepped inside and saw the look on her face instantly. "What's wrong?" Anna shook her head. "I don't know if I can do this." Keanu sat across from her. "What do you mean? This scene," she said, voice trembling. "I've never done anything like it. Not just acting. It's like they're asking me to put my soul out there. And what if I do that and it's still not enough?" Keanu didn't answer right away. He looked around the trailer, then said something she didn't expect. "Can I show you something?" Anna blinked. "What?" He pulled out a small flash drive. From his pocket, "This was given to me years ago. It's by a director I trusted. He recorded a scene I had done when I hated. I thought it was my worst work. But he told me to watch it in private when I was ready." Anna stared at the drive in his hand. "I watched it," Keanu continued, "and I saw something I didn't expect. Not perfection, but truth. It wasn't smooth or clean, but it was honest. Sometimes honesty is the most powerful thing we have." He handed the flash drive to her. "Watch it. Remember. This year's scene doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real." Anna held the drive in her hand after he left. She didn't watch it that night. Instead, she curled up on the couch, script still open beside her, and fell asleep under a blanket of fear she couldn't quite shake. The next day, during rehearsal, something went wrong. The lighting rig above the main set short-circuited. Cable snapped. A loud, violent crash echoed across the studio. No one was hurt. But the energy shifted instantly. Everyone was shaken, especially Anna. It brought her right back into that storm of doubt. She froze during a run-through, forgot every line. Her voice wouldn't come out. The director gently called for a break, but she could hear the silence behind his words. She rushed to the edge of the lot, found a quiet corner behind the costume truck, and sat on the ground. That's where Keanu found her. He didn't speak, didn't ask if she was okay. He just sat down beside her, back against the metal, hands resting on his knees. Finally, she whispered, "I think I'm ruining everything." "No," he said firmly. "You're facing everything." "That's braver. I'm scared." "So, was I?" he said. "During my first big emotional scene? I thought if I showed the real me, people would laugh. Or worse, they'd feel nothing. What happened? I did it anyway. And afterward, the crew didn't clap. They didn't say anything. They just looked at me, really looked. And for the first time, I felt seen." Anna breathed slowly. "What if I'm not ready to be seen like that?" "Then say that in the scene," Keanu said softly. "Don't hide. Bring the fear. Bring the doubt. Let the character speak it." Anna wiped her eyes. That night, she finally watched the clip. On the flash drive, the scene was old, grainy. Young Keanu eyes filled with a quiet pain. No dramatic music, no fancy camera work. Just a man sitting on a bed, telling the truth. Anna watched it twice. Then she cried, not because the scene was sad, but because it gave her permission to be herself. The next morning, she walked onto set like a different person. Not stronger, not air. Louder, just more real. She wore no makeup. She requested no retakes. She asked the director if they could film the final scene early, before she had time to overthink. The director agreed. They rolled camera. Anna sat across from Keanu. The dialogue began, and as the moment arrived, the one line everyone was waiting. Anna looked directly into his eyes and whispered, "I don't know if I'm enough, but I want to be." Keanu didn't speak right away. He reached across the table, touched her hand, and said, unscripted, "You already are." The director didn't cut, not for 10 full seconds. He wanted the silence to live. When the scene ended, no one moved. Then slowly, applause rose around them. Not loud, not rushed, just deep dot. Anna stood slowly. Her knees shook. Keanu helped her up. She looked at him and smiled through her tears. "Thank you," she whispered. He nodded. "You did this, not me." Anna believed him, but she also knew this would never have happened if he hadn't stayed behind that first night. If he hadn't seen her when no one else did. If he hadn't believed in her when she couldn't believe. In herself, filming would end tomorrow, but something else was just beginning. When the lights fade, what remains final day of filming arrived quietly. There was no grand speech from the director. No fireworks, no confetti, just soft goodbyes, claps on the back, tired smiles, and tired eyes. Cameras were being packed, scripts tossed aside, and people were already thinking about their next job. But for Anna, this wasn't just an ending. It was a beginning she almost didn't reach. Her trailer was almost empty now. Most of her things were already gone, but she lingered. Her fingers touched the edge of the couch, the same one where she had once sat crying in silence. The same one where Keanu had knocked that first night and asked, "You okay?" She closed her eyes and let herself remember everything. Not the fear, but the way she rose through it. Not the doubts, but the truth she found beneath them. Not the scene she nailed, but the friend who stood by her until she could stand on her own. A gentle knock at the door broke the moment. It was Keanu. He stepped in, holding 2 cups of coffee. "Figured you could use one more." Anna took it with a grateful smile. "Thank you for everything." Keanu sat across from her, same as always. No big words, no rehearsed lines, just presence. "Do you feel proud?" he asked. Anna thought about it, then slowly nodded. Yes, not just of the work, but of surviving it. Keanu smiled. "No, that's the part most people never talk about. And you?" she asked. "How do you feel?" He leaned back, thoughtful. "I feel like this was supposed to happen. not the film, not the scenes. The people, the growth, the small invisible moments that changed us. Anna looked down at her cup. Do you ever think about what would have happened if you hadn't stayed that night? Keanu nodded. All the time. Why did you stay? She asked again. This time not just to know the answer, but to understand it. He took a breath. Because I saw someone who reminded me of myself. And I knew that if I walked away, I'd be walking away from something important. Anna's eyes shimmered. We're never just my co-star, she said. You were the safety net I didn't know I needed. He looked at her, eyes soft. And you were the reminder that it's okay to be seen. They sat in silence for a while. Outside, the set was being broken down piece by piece. The world they'd built was vanishing. But what they carried inside that wasn't going anywhere. Keanu stood and walked to the door, then paused. What's next for you? He asked. Anna smiled. Not the shy, uncertain one from weeks ago. This one was steady. I think I'm finally ready to write something that's mine. Good, he said, because your voice deserves to be heard. And you? She asked. He grinned. I might take a break, maybe disappear for a while. Let life catch up. Promise you won't disappear forever? He turned and looked at her one last time. It's only if you promise to never dim your light again. Anna stood there in the doorway, watching him walk away. And she didn't feel abandoned. She didn't feel small. She felt strong. A few months later. The film premiered at a small international festival. Anna didn't tell anyone she was attending. She sat in the back row, hoodie pulled low, heart racing when her big scene came on screen. The theater went silent, and when Keanu reached across in that final moment and said, "You already are," people around her started to cry. Not because of the line, but because they believed it. Afterwards, strangers came up to her in the lobby, not to ask for selfies, not to compliment her looks, but to thank her, to say that scene made me feel seen. Anna smiled and thanked them. Her voice didn't tremble. Her hands didn't shake. Back home that night, she sat at her small writing desk, staring at a blank page. Then slowly she began to write. The title at the top read, "The Night Someone Stayed." A few days later, she sent the draft to one person. Keanu, his reply came in one line. This is just the beginning. It was Anna's voice became a new kind of light in the industry. Not loud, not flashy, but honest. Her stories carried the weight of truth and the softness of healing, and somewhere, quietly watching, Keanu stayed cheering her on from the background, never asking for credit, never seeking the spotlight, because some people don't need to lead to change the world. Sometimes they just need to stay behind, make sure someone else is okay.